Back from the ashes, we rise again. The Black Phoenix Podcast here to hang out with you one more time. MC and TR here. I am back to 100%. TR, how you feeling?
Hey, I'm glad you're at 100%. I know who ain't at 100% right now, and that's the damn Chiefs. So thank you, thank you, Josh Allen, because I was tired of these, tired of the Chiefs just going, just winning. Because they're 9-0, and it's always been a suspect 9-0, but they finally got defeated, knocked out. So
clearly they're trying to make him the face of the league, but yeah,
face of the
sometimes you got to
league.
take those L's.
Man, if they look at this dude's stats, this guy is not playing the best football of his career. He's not even top 10 right now. He's got like a high percentage of interceptions, but I'm hating, but it is what it is.
His wife is still running her mouth like he the best player in the league, but
yeah, we haven't seen too much of her, truth be told, though. But she's running her mouth. I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got a good show for everyone. We're gonna lead off with Stepdads be simps.
If we really feel it, it's the ones we don't like. We make them do it all.
So you ain't like your husband.
Disrespect.
I ain't trying to embarrass my husband even more on the internet, but he was a simp, and I seen the opportunity, and I took it.
Well, I'm saying what his qualities was.
I mean, for one, he accepted the fact that I have 3 kids.
So you got 3 kids too?
I have 3 children. Do a lot if we really feeling you. It's the ones we don't like. We make them do it all.
Oof.
So,
wow. Hold on. First of all, who are these people? Do you know who these people are?
I have no idea. Apparently, she goes viral for saying wild stuff every so often.
Yeah, that's wild.
I guess her biggest followers on TikTok. I am not in these TikTok streets, so I couldn't tell you much about it. What I can tell you, though, look, man, I heard the coldest thing when I was in my 20s. Friend of mine, he's very fortunate with women. I'm going to just put it that way. Like the things that he could get away with saying and doing, and it works for him. Like I could never be like that. But one of the coldest things he told me, and I'll never forget this, women have 2 sets of rules. They got rules for the ninja that they actually like. Then they got the rules for your ass. So that's what I'm seeing when I'm looking at her. Like I'm more so, and I don't even have any sympathy for the dude. Let me keep it a buck because I know he saw this video. I know he heard or saw this video, and he probably knew what he was getting into when he married her. So guys like that. And I believe a woman will show you who she is before you make any moves with her. And either he wasn't paying attention or he was and he just didn't care.
Yeah. So it's so crazy that she took pride and she knew he was a simp and he is taking care of the kids. Like we are far removed from the days where, when a man would step into a situation where doesn't have any kids. But he married a woman, or he's involved with a woman who has kids from different fathers, or kids, or 1 or 2 kids, or whatever it is. That guy used to be revered. That guy, I felt like that guy was revered. Maybe I watched too much TV shows or something where it wasn't the case. But I feel like back in the 70s, 80s, that was something that was revered, something that was like, hey, that guy is stepping up. Where the father dipped out or whatever the case is. And I'm not trying to bash fathers on why they're not there or anything, because there's a lot of situations there. But people coming in there and thinking that, you can just get on the internet and just say, hey, my boyfriend is a simp. That is not a great term. Like I got a funny story to that. We're going to talk a little more about this, but that is not an endearing term that men want to hear or gladly accept.
Yeah. And for the record, I don't think stepdads are simps, but I do think you need to assess the situation properly before you make that decision. There's a lot of considerations to be made. For example, this woman has 3 kids. Mind you, I ain't been on the scene in a minute, but if I meet a woman who's got 3 kids, I'm going to do a deeper dive and see what the situation is. Like if all those kids are by the same dude, I'm probably gonna give a little bit more grace than somebody who's shooting 3 for 3. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're shooting 3 for 3 or even 2 for 3, now you got to start asking questions of, okay, how wise is she? How smart is she with the box and how she's distributing the box? So I don't care what any guy tells you. I know body count is not as big of a deal for you as it is for me, TR, but there is some value in a woman who knows how to properly manage what's between her legs and what type of environment she's creating for her kids. And I think stuff like that needs to be considered when you're making decisions.
Yeah. And when it comes and for the new people that see this, the reason I say body count's not a big deal because I'm not trying to wife them. Like,
yeah, that matters.
I ain't trying to wife. I ain't trying to know about your body count like that. I just hope that you're not a corn star or you got an OF or something. And you know, just that, because I'm past that point where marriage is probably going to be an option for me, and not because I'm getting older, but because the more I see some of these people crash out over their husbands and wives. There was a story where a woman was on some church mission or whatever, and with her husband, and they have like 3 or 4 kids, whatever it is. But she started hooking up with the security guard, and they came up with a plot to, you know, pretty much delete her husband. So, and she got arrested along with 3 other people, including the lover, got arrested. And all for what? All for just because you want to change the scenery. You blew up your family just so you can. And I've seen women and men, but primarily women, I'm not happy and blow up their families for less. So I ain't about to be in that 40 getting married and then having a divorce type of situation, because I mean, for the most part, when it comes to me dating people, I'm generally probably dating women with kids. It's hard, even in your 40s, it's hard to date someone who does not have kids.
Oh yeah,
someone who just got a divorce. And so I'm okay with that. Like, if you got kids, I'm okay with it. Ideally, I probably like your kids a little bit older, but sometimes that can present challenges. So, but proudly saying your husband is a simp, that's not a good look. Not a good look at all.
Hey, when did men become so comfortable with being disrespected by women? Like, when did this change happen? I've heard there was once a time where a man wouldn't stand for something like this.
Yeah.
But that's kind of throwing me off. But so I have one friend who's a millionaire, and I'll never forget this story. That's the same one that told me about the women having 2 separate rules, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He was also engaged at one point. But the wedding got broke off because she had 2 kids from a previous relationship. She was receiving child support. He told her, if I marry you, you need to take them off of child support. Because I guess she told him, you know, the father didn't want to be active and be around. And she was just so used to receiving it every month, it was pushback. She didn't understand where he was going with it. But essentially, he was telling her, if I'm marrying you, your kids are coming in under my protection too. I will provide for them. I will give them what they need. I don't want another man's money influencing my house. But she looked at it as, why would I turn down this extra money that's coming in? So she made the decision. Mind you, she knew what his net worth was. She made the decision that her receiving her child support was more important than establishing this relationship with this guy that she had been dating for 2 years. So I don't know, man. Child support is a cold game. And I think as we get further and further into the Trump administration, I think we're going to see some significant changes in the way child support is capped and set for people. And it's going to be interesting to see how people shift when that happens.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, if men wanted to change child support rules, guidelines, and family court laws, they would have done it by now. Ninjas ain't never going to change it. Ninjas are going to be on here complaining, and I understand it. I've been through it. It is a cold, brutal game that has been on everybody's neck since the 90s. So for the men that thinking that, you know, child support needs to, you know, we got to change it, blah blah blah, that shit ain't going to change. Like, since like the 90s, I can't name them exactly, but I'm aware of like at least 10 laws that have been in favor of women. I mean, you have some laws that if you assault a woman, for whatever the reason, you will be charged. There'll be an additional charge. Like this is getting, or some states have that law. It's not for everybody, but or even DV situations where somebody has to go to jail. Generally, that's going to be the guy going to jail. So for the men, that it's just not going to change, unfortunately. And it's probably has something more to do with like you said, when the men become soft about the women saying things, because it's the same time when the laws became more restrictive on men if they end up like doing something that creates a I don't know, maybe a dangerous environment. Not that it'd be their fault though, because there's a lot of conversations, situations that could have happened that led up to it, which we don't have the time to get into. But unfortunately, it's just not going to be a feasible thing. And but I think for most men,
before you shift, I gotta push back with that a little bit. So the reason why I'm optimistic that there will be change is RFK. The reason why RFK, and I think Trump realized this too, RFK was winning over a lot of black men voters because he was having barbershop conversations.
Yeah.
And he was always talking about how the family courts needed to be revamped and how there needs to be equal advantages for men and women walking into a marriage. I think he went over a lot of men in that regard, and I think he's going to influence the Trump administration in that regard as well. I don't think the federal government gets too heavily involved in family custody and child support cases. I think the states manage most of that, but I think there might be a change coming in that regard. I think Florida is the state to look at. I think we're going to model some of the things that Florida and Texas are starting to do.
Yeah, no, it would definitely be. I mean, whatever happens, yeah, all for it though. So if there is administration that can get some of it done or start pushing some of those ideas, this would be the administration that can do it. I don't see any other administration doing anything like that. I see them going the opposite way of creating additional laws, which some of the laws I can agree with, like if somebody leaks your sexy photos on the internet, I get it. Hey, that you definitely want something like that. You want some type of law, because a lot of times it is generally due to an ex-lover, and you want to have that type of law protecting people. Unfortunately, there's only a handful of states that have a law like that. So, but other than that, though, I mean, yeah. So it'll be interesting. It's funny. I was like, when the simp conversation came up, there was a story, not story. I was out over the weekend with some friends, and there was a girl I was talking to, and she was telling me about her boyfriend. I was already about to like just walk away, but I was like, oh, this is actually going to be interesting then. So let's see what happens. And so she's telling me that she actually enjoys that her boyfriend is a simp. And I looked at her, I'm like, what do you mean? What? Like, women do not understand that being called a simp, no guy wants to be called a simp. That's like calling a woman the C word. Like, I don't know. I don't know what way. That's the only thing I can think of. I have never heard a woman ever say that I'm the C word. And we have to say the C word because YouTube. But yeah, she was ecstatic. She's like a traveling nurse, and she was going to be moving somewhere soon. But I was like, well, what about your relationship? Like, oh, he's gonna follow me there. And I was like, and I told her like, well, he's gonna find out. And she's like, find out what? I was like, no, he'll find out. And she's like, what? What is he gonna find out? And
that she doesn't respect him. That's what he's about to find out. And it's gonna be a rude awakening. I'm gonna just add this, and it does tie. I'm gonna bring it back to the stepdaddy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's what I've learned. This is just my own evidence and explanations, right? There's a very thin line between a good man and a simp. And that's why if you are a good man of high moral value and code, you have to do your proper due diligence to make sure that whoever you're with doesn't simplify you. Case in point, a good man who wants to lead his family is going to provide for that family. But you owe it to yourself to do due diligence to make sure that she's not using you or manipulating you and actually cares about you and ain't just trying to get you for everything that you have, including your masculinity. And that's where it gets lost with the stepdads. I think if you opt to be a stepdad, kudos to you, man. That's probably a thankless job sometimes. You stepping in and doing something that somebody else didn't want to do. but you need to make sure that she actually loves you and she's not just using you as a resource for her kids or as a temporary stepping stone until she leaps to something better. You owe it to yourself to do that kind of background check and due diligence at least.
Yeah. Most of them don't love you like that. I hate to break it to some folks, and this is not a diss on stepdads or stepmoms or whatever. You know, it was funny. Kamala was a stepmom, but people forget about that. Being a stepdad is probably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do in a relationship, and it can be difficult. But I mean, there are some good things. I mean, you'll probably get some great sex, but there's a reason why there's not a guy there. There's a reason why that guy, you know, if that guy didn't want to be there, there's probably a conversation there. But one of the things that I did learn, like when it comes to, like, you know, being with a woman with kids, I never take the exact reason why the father isn't there. I ask them about who the father, or not who the father is. I don't give a shit unless, you know, that father's, you know, somebody in my circle or something. But I never ask them, like, oh, what happened with you in the past relationship? And depending on how she responds to that question, tells me all I need to know, how the rest of the relationship can go, or if I'm gonna be serious about this. Because if she's like just going in and, you know, talking a lot of crap about the father, I'm like, oh crap. Because there was a couple times where I was with somebody and they told me the situation with their kids' fathers, and I saw exactly what she was talking about, and I'm like, man, this is exactly, you know, I bet how those guys had felt or whatnot. So it definitely gives you a heads up on what's going on. But I mean, it can be a rewarding experience, especially, you know, I feel bad for the kids that grew up without fathers. You know, having a father that step in that role, or you know, a male figure step in that role and be there for your kid. I mean, you would think that would be something that a lot of women appreciate, but they don't appreciate that, because even if the kids love you, whatever the case is, dog love you, the parents love you, if she falls out of favor with you, you're gone. Like, they're ready to boot you out, and you have no access to the kids. You don't get to say goodbye. You don't get to do anything. So definitely be careful, men, when you get out there. And women, you got to start understanding that these men, like, sometimes it's easy just to, you know, delete them and block them. But you should really think about how your kids are going to feel, because, you know, if we're talking about a situation where, you know, you're just upset over a dumb situation, whatever the case is, you should probably look past that, because it's important to have a male figure in your kid's life, or especially if you got sons. This is really more.
No, they both need them. The little girls need it too. Absolutely.
Right. But I think it's more detrimental if the sons don't have that male figure, especially in, say, a household full of women, or maybe they don't have any male role models in there. Like, they can always learn from the daughters, can generally learn from the women, but the sons, they got nobody to learn from.
Hey, if you, this is probably the last thing I would say about this, because it kind of ties in. If you are considering becoming a stepfather, I highly suggest you ask this question. Ask her, without mentioning your ex, tell me why your last relationship ended. And the not mentioning your ex part is clutch, because what it's going to do is it's going to tell me how she critically thinks. Is she going to take accountability for anything, or is she going to skip that part of the question and keep blaming him for everything anyway? Yeah. Because what I've learned about people is all those people that say, oh, I did everything I was supposed to do, that was all his fault, I would say 9 times out of 10 they're lying.
Oh yeah.
And you can easily point that out by just seeing how they react and squirm to answering that type of question.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, let's jump to the next topic.
All right, so we got to talk about the elephant in the room. This story is from 2017, but it has come up again. It is a new study expected to be released with similar results, but scroll down a little bit, TR. The genesis right here. Heterosexual women have the fewest orgasms when compared to bisexual, heterosexual, and gay men and lesbian women. Like, they're having the fewest old faces. So my question is to all the fellas out there, why you ain't blowing your ladies back out?
Man, first of all, this is what was this in England or Britain? Man, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in there.
There's so Claremont graduate is in Britain, but Indiana University also participated in this study. So there are some U.S. women that were sampled in this study.
Okay. Let's just take it for a face value. I got some doubts there, but I have heard that, and maybe I got time to bring this up though, but the majority of women out there aren't really having orgasms in general. So there's a conversation there, but I don't want to say it's due to lack of equipment, because I think most men will probably think that it can't be me or whatever. But in some cases, I'm going to say, like, for some women, they have to be, turned on a certain way. Sometimes it's just, what do you at the beginning of the day, say like, hey, I can't wait to, get it. I gotta keep it PG. But I think I think for some women that could be the case, where it's all mental. Then other women, it could be more like you got to do some foreplay action, and that could be it too. I think for some women, I think they're too afraid to tell the man how they want to be dominated, so they can get to that level. But
I'm glad you said that.
that's what it is. Because a lot of guys, they don't care. But if you're in some of these, oh, man, I've seen, okay, so there's some truth to this though, because I just realized, because I recommend everyone going on the marriage Reddit page, because there's some interesting conversations, because I only know a few married folks, and I'm not definitely asking about anybody's sexual life or how that's going. But on the marriage Reddit page, that's actually pretty much what I see, is a lot of women saying that their husband ain't, he ain't doing it right, XYZ. And I don't look through the messages, because it's just a bunch of women saying, you need to leave him, or they say negative stuff actually.
Hey, so
hold on.
Yeah. If you airing out your husband already, you are the trashiest of the trash. But I want to go back to something you said earlier, because really, when you look at the numbers of this study, women ain't orgasming at all. Even if you look at the bisexual women and the lesbian women, it's still less than 90%. Meanwhile, straight men, they know what they want. Excuse me, heterosexual men, they know what they want, and they getting the end results that they want. I'm gonna skip over the gay men, because that's a world I'm just not interested in at all. So we're gonna skip over that one. But men generally, unless you're a beta or a simp, and God knows there's plenty of them, but generally speaking, men know what they want, and they're gonna ask for it. And you kind of said an unspoken rule about sex, as far as I'm concerned.
What's that?
They want you to be a man.
Oh yeah.
They want you to put some bass in your voice. And I got to tread lightly, because I'm married and I don't want to put too much of my business out there. But if you present yourself in a masculine way, you could pretty much get whatever the hell you want.
Oh yeah.
And that's what a lot of dudes don't realize. And then the other part of this, two more points. The second part of this is, as a man, this is one of the times where you got to humble yourself. You're gonna have to put her in a space where she's comfortable enough to tell you if you ain't getting the job done, and make your adjustments. And then finally, here's my point number 3: stop watching porn. And take a cake. Go to the gym. Get some cardio in. And the watching porn part is going to be hard. Pause again. It's going to be difficult, but I promise you, fast from porn for 30 days and watch after about a week or so how you going to be chasing your wife all over the house like y'all was in high school again. Like leave it alone for a little bit. Every time you get the urge, go hit the gym, go do some cardio, go lift some weights, go do something to take your mind off of it until it's time for you to get your quality time in with the lady. Because porn is kind of messing the game up too, man. Like I just read the other day, the average age that you first started watching it is getting younger and younger.
Yeah.
Male testosterone levels are declining in the United States. As a matter of fact, they're the lowest they've ever been. That's directly tied to your sex drive. And the average age of erectile dysfunction is dropping in the United States too. So more and more younger folks are getting on the Blue Diamond. Shout out to Shay Shay and Michelle advertising that commercial after that video broke out.
Mhm.
But these are some of the things. Look within first, get yourself healthy. Then you gonna have to have some hard conversations with your lady, because the last thing you want is your lady walking around not getting the pleasure time, because then that's gonna create a whole new set of problems in your relationship.
You know, the funny thing about that, I don't know if this is like when it comes to like, I don't know if it's the age thing or a race thing, but there are going to be some women out there, and again, I'm seeing in some of these women on the Reddit page. And again, you don't know if they're real or not; it's all anonymous and everything. But I'm blown away that they're having this kind of situation this early in their marriage, because I would just be blown away. Like, if marriage is that, man, I don't know if I want it. Like, I already have my reservations about marriage, but you're gonna tell me that there's gonna be a time where your wife ain't gonna be like, hey, I don't want to do it anymore. No, that's gonna put that in the vows or something. But no.
Hey, we talked about monogamy and how it makes people lazy in the previous episodes, and it does, man. Like, it should never be easier to play the field than to be with somebody consistently, because you should know everything about each other. But again, a lot of men are scared to tell their wives that they're getting too fat and they're not attracted to them anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a part of it too. It's not always all internal. Like, you weighed less than 100 pounds when y'all met in high school, but now you might be able to sit on the offensive line in the league right now. And of course, you're not going to say it to her like that, but there's men who actually think that way, and it's like, I can't do it. So maybe you need to make her come to the gym with you. I don't know, man, but either way, it's going to be some difficult conversations coming. But
and it's going to be on both sides as well too, because for the men, you don't want to be doing sexy time and then pull a hammy or something, or get a cramp or something. like drinking water. You're right. You got to be drinking water. You got to be active, and you got to get rid of the fast food as well too. That's going to definitely just improve your whole lifestyle, and I guess your cardiovascular activity and everything. But if your girl is she's getting to a certain size, that's going to take positions off the table too. So it's going on for both people. Like, if you like doing a certain thing and you can't do it anymore because your stomach is hanging over him, or your gut is hanging over your waistline, or if you're both big, and there's going to be a couple movement spots you can do on that stuff though, because it ain't gonna be it's gonna be a fun thing, and it may contribute to why some women are not having the orgasms that they want. But I mean, I'm glad to see the men are having the orgasms. Pause. But
hey, like I said, we know what we want. We go in there, we ask for it, and it's gonna happen.
That's the thing is, say, like, man, we don't give a fuck. What was that? Didn't Bernie Mac say that? Like, I got mine.
You better get yours. But man, it's work, man. And even as a guy, if you got a gut, you ain't gonna be able to push in all the way, bro.
Nope.
You ain't gonna be that affects things. You gonna start breathing hard after a couple minutes. Like, all that stuff matters, man. Like, monogamy is hard work, and I think people that is playing the field get an unfair advantage, because the excitement of something new is always going to make it outstanding. But you got to work harder when you're in a monogamous relationship. So get to work.
Or when you get older, I'm gonna, like, this, and I hope men are going to the doctor regularly. And like, my doctor is telling me that you got to lose some weight, which I was losing some weight for a little bit, but I gotta get back on the journey. I fell off the wagon. But you're going down, and this is mainly for Black men, where we are very likely to become pre-diabetic. And when you become pre-diabetic to diabetic, there's gonna be a lot of things not working properly. Like, you losing your toes are gonna probably be the worst thing. Your least amount of worries, because you ain't getting proper blood circulation. So that's another thing you have to, like, kind of worry about, because you can get away with that in your 20s and your 30s. You start getting to that 40s and 50s, you think, I mean, unless you done, putting, laying the pipe down in your 40s, which I know a lot of men are not. I mean, even in your 50s, I mean, I still see Shaq out there still slinging some tail. So, and Shaq is what, in his 50s, close to 60s? Like, Shaq up there in age. So he's still, and that's it's Shaq. Like, he's slaying on girls in his 20s and 30s. So, stay in shape. Stay in shape.
Hey, so check this out. You said something that kind of got my brain gears spinning. So I did a quick search on if there was any medical studies that were done on sexual satisfaction by race. I found something from the National Institute of Health. It doesn't actually. You know what? Let me present real quick. I kind of want to present this. Let's see. All right. Let me know when you can see that.
There you go.
So I haven't gotten to the satisfaction piece yet, but one thing that stuck out to me right here. So these graphs right here, the plain white bars are weekly or more. Black people are having at least about a sex. We not like, hold on. I wasn't expecting this.
Oh man. How old is this?
This looks like when is this? This is from where's the date?
Oh, right there at the top. Oh wait, that's not it. What is it? August
2010. 2010.
Oh wow.
So as of 2010, it looked like the white folks and the Latinos is getting it in, but everybody else is.
I can tell you, Latinos are probably getting it in more as of as some of the political as some of the numbers have been looking, but as far as that's that. So
yeah, I'm a deep dive in this a little bit more to get the satisfaction rates. Maybe we'll circle back to it next week, but that shocked me. I thought we was getting it in as a race. Apparently, we ain't even doing that. So we not only are we not married, but we ain't even clapping cheeks like we supposed to be. Like, what is going on here?
Then it's probably that 80-20 rule, because if 20% of the men are slaying 80% of the women, and then those women are going to the clinic, that could be a reason why the low marriage rates and people going to the clinic. That could be a reason why the black race has moved down to the fourth spot. It's either fourth or third spot, but it'll definitely be the fourth in the next couple of years.
Man, this is crazy, because I do know for a fact that black men are the most desired, and I know that based on surveys that I've seen from pornographic websites. But it's not translating here. So I think he might be onto something with that 80-20. So probably the top 20% of dudes is getting all the action. And we know Kevin Samuels used to always say that male incels are on the rise. Like these guys that want to clap some cheeks, but they can't find it. So
yeah. Well, and it can also be another thing too, where, and again, that was a 2010 study. So I'd be curious to see what the studies look like now. But there are some men that are kind of waking up and saying like, hey, I just need to be on my purpose for at least a couple year or two, and then I'll be out here like clapping cheeks. Like, because a lot of men have woken up and realized like, and it's not even like, it's like men are just having this great epiphany as well too. I also think it's because the dating market has definitely changed, because it's definitely monetized now, where you have women that are, for the women, and maybe for the women, the top tier women, if you want those top tier women, you ain't going to be there just going off a mouthpiece, just game. Like that stuff ain't going to happen. Like, they're going to be looking to see if you got what your social media status looks like. What can you do for me? XYZ. Some people are going to be okay with that. Some people are going to be like, I want to be in love. I want the person to love me. Okay, fine. Go find that one. Go to Hallmark or whatever. Go find that type of woman. But for the majority of in the way that the women are operating today, especially on social media, that's exactly what they're looking for. So, for some men, stop messing with these skeezers and start, focusing on yourself and the world. And just like you said, your friend, he's definitely in a good financial spot, and he's trying to do something. But I mean, I don't know what situation he's in now. But if he is, if he's still like, playing in the streets or whatever, he can kind of do that. He can kind of like say, hey, I want this type of woman, and he's going to have that type of woman now. So
he on that Black Bruce Wayne type of stuff. One more thing I'm gonna call out from that article I just shared. Just looking at the women real quick. The highest by age, the highest amount of sexual satisfaction for women, 45 to 54.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
It's not even close.
I believe it.
It's so.
I believe it.
This is how funny life is. This kind of substantiates the so we know as men that men are in their peak earlier in life, and then it seems like women are starting to come into their zone later in life. So you get to the gym, fellas. Get them workouts in.
Hey, look, these 20-somethings, like you guys as you mess with the 20-something, they don't know. They don't know what you're gonna. I mean, they're not gonna be as vocal as a woman in her 40s. Like, trust me, like I'm in my 40s, I'm still in these streets, and they're like, hey, look, I enjoyed it. I need you to do this a little bit better. I need you to do that a little bit better. All right, I'll take it under advisement. Whatever.
Hey, she had the pregame, post-game press conferences and stuff. Yeah, he put up 16, but he could have put up 24 if he showed some real effort.
He left some points on the board or on the court, but we still got the job done. Like,
oh man.
Yeah, it's definitely I can definitely see that, because I mean, and honestly, for a lot of those women, when they're single, they're definitely ready to go, because honestly they're probably a little more sexually liberated though, because they don't have to worry about kids, and hopefully they're staying clean. But for the most part, yeah, they don't have to worry about some of the things you have to worry about in your 20s, like, hey, don't shoot the club up, sir. But you can definitely, like, in women in their 40s, hey, you can go here, you can go here, you can go here, like face paint. They can go anywhere. Like, they'll be able to do a little more, they'll be a little more adventurous with you. Versus somebody in their 20s. So yeah, I definitely believe that. And that was a 2010 study. So it's probably higher now.
Man, I'm gonna drop this little piece of game for the women too, just so you understand. If your men have a natural desire to conquer, pursue, chase, dominate, win. If your dude is not chasing you around the house, something ain't right.
Yeah.
If he's not desiring you, like chasing you around the house, trying to touch you and feel you, like, hey, what's up, flirting with you, doing all that stuff, something ain't right. Because we all have that innate desire in us. I don't know if he might be directing it to somebody else, or he might just be fully tapped out and sick of your nonsense. But something ain't right if that ain't happening with y'all, especially in a long-term relationship.
And to that point, and this is coming from CGA, Coach Greg Adams, he has said, if you can't grab your woman's cheeks and just say this is mine, and just growl at her and kiss her, and without her smacking your hand, you better leave that. Well, this is a family show, but you better leave her. You better. That means she don't desire you sexually, and she already got another bowling ring. It's one or the other. But if you can't get away with that, without her like smack your hand, or you got to be like, get permission, man. Can't be me. I refuse to be in a situation like that. And I'm not gonna say I'm perfect or anything. I've had that situation. I'm like, what are you smacking my hand for? Like, I just don't feel like it. Oh, all right.
No, I'm very clear.
We're talking about the younger version of me, and where I didn't know any better. But yeah, and which is also a heads up on you're about to get dumped too. So
shit, you talking about me right now? I make it like, this ain't yours no more. This is mine. I make that very clear.
Especially in public, though, I can grab that ass in public. Hey, let them look.
Yeah, I'll chill out a little bit in the public, but man, I'm gonna tell y'all one thing, all y'all listeners out there. This is us censoring ourselves on this subject, because we could both be real grimy about this topic. So one of these days, we don't have to get the Patreon jumping off or something. But we speaking on stuff like this with no restrictions. It's coming in the future, though.
Yeah, indeed. All right, everybody, let's get to the next episode or next topic.
All right, this next topic, real quick. All y'all super Dems, y'all some weirdos, and Andrew Schulz is about to tell you why.
Hey, you know what? I'm glad we're about to cover this real quick, but the liberals, progressives, y'all need help. Y'all need a lot of help. Y'all are crashing out. I've been seeing what y'all been saying on the on the internet, on TikTok. Y'all been crashing out. But you know who I don't hear from. So you got a lot of folks going after men, like men are the problem here. But we'll just say we'll stay here. But I don't see any women on that same side saying, "Hey, we are crashing out too much, and so we don't condone some of this behavior. It's childish, it's immature. It's not a this person needs to see a therapist. This person needs additional help." Like, because this is not how we handle these things. Our gal, I guess, lost, and we just have to deal with it like we did back in 2016 and 2020. Biden won, so people
they freaked out because AOC took her pronouns off of her her X page.
Her bio.
They freaked out about that.
I've been enjoying this great epiphany as well too, because it's amazing to see some of the Democrats are coming along, and then some of them are like still fighting, like the sanctuary city folks. So yeah, it's been interesting to see. I predict the next crash out is going to be on January 6th. So that's going to be an interesting day, because that's the day Kamala has to certify the elections.
Yeah, look, Angela Rye just dropped a video today, and she talked about Harriet Tubman, and she tried to make Harriet Tubman and what she did relevant to what happened when Trump just won election in the office. And I'm over this party, man. I swear I am. Schulz is gonna tell y'all exactly what I'm thinking. But
let's go.
I'll be honest right now. The problem with this, you can be weird and you can be accepting, and you can be, okay, let me start that over. This is the problem with Democrats. You can be weird or you can be pretentious, but you can't be both. And Democrats are weird and pretentious, right? Like a good example, we were talking about this on Flagrant. Remember that stupid haircut I had?
Sure.
You remember where I shaved the sides?
Oh, yeah. Which one? You've had a few.
Yeah, but the stupidest one, the one where I basically was like a bowl cut. Yeah.
But it's for a roll.
Right. If somebody came up to me like, "Why do you have the haircut?" And I was like, "What? Do you not understand fashion? Do you not understand luxury? What the fuck? What are you, a Nazi? Like, how dare you judge his haircut?" People would be like, "Shut the fuck up, bro. You got a weird fucking haircut. Stop acting like." And that's Democrats. But if somebody came up to me and they're like, "What's up with that haircut?" And
one of the things, in full disclosure, we never talked about our political journeys, but I'll tell you, I stopped being a Democrat in 2010. I voted for Obama twice, but I stopped being a Dem in 2010 because of some things I just noticed. And this essentially is what started it. So let me start off with pretentious, right? Because some of you might not even know what that means. You can look it up if you want to, but the easiest way to remember what pretentious means is using sign language. Shames, insults, guilts need to be right in order to make yourself seem superior to another person. And what Schulz is basically saying is that at one point, the Dems took a whole lot of pride in being the party of all inclusion and everybody.
Tolerance.
And ironically, this is my exact same experience with DEI. I have DEI experience with 4 different corporations. So it'll all tie together. Just let me cook for a second, right? So essentially what happens is the Dems were telling everybody, hey, you're welcome here. You can be yourself. You can be free. But then as soon as the people that walked in, now mind you, the Dems used to be somewhat moderate. They were called Blue Dog Democrats. Ben Nelson was the last Democratic governor of my home state of Nebraska. He was a Democrat, but he was a Blue Dog Democrat. So at one point they were accepting to everyone, but as soon as people started pushing back a little bit on the allowing transgenders in sports and there's only 2 genders and traditional family values, then we get to see the hypocrisy of these people that claim to be accepting of all. Now we get the pretentious behavior, because now anytime somebody says something, they automatically take it to 10. Schulz gave the example of the haircut. What, you don't know what my haircut is? What are you, a Nazi? You see how they just took that from 0 to 10?
Yeah.
It could have just been somebody, like, what is this haircut? Like, what? I'd much rather be around people that say what they mean and mean what they say. And that's one of the reasons why TR has been one of my closest friends since like the 7th grade, because I've never known him to censor himself or bite his tongue. If he feels a certain way, I'm going to know it. And that's where the Dems kind of went wrong. They should have just, if they were true to who they really were, and I'm going to say the same thing about DEI, if they were true to who they were, they should just say, hey, we only want these people over here. The rest of y'all, we don't want y'all. We want your vote, but that's all we want from you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the Dems started to push people out. And that's when the Dems started to have problems with masculinity. So that's kind of how I tie all that together. And it does tie to DEI, because in my 4 examples of DEI, they wanted my black face to sit on the committees and represent. But they told me behind closed doors, look, bro, we only rock it with women and LGBT right now. So I'm like, okay, fine. Then go recruit them to be the face then, not me, because I'm neither one of those. So anyway, that's basically the Dems and DEI, who I view as being tied together.
Yeah, and here's how I feel about the Democrats.
Warning, enemy nuke has been launched. Repeat, enemy nuke has been launched.
Look, they're cooked. The Democrats are cooked. They've created these attack dogs and these multiple groups that has overtaken the party now. And now they don't have to worry about Trump anymore. Trump is like the least of their worries. They have to worry about which way is the party going to go, because they probably want to get back to that moderate position, but they can't get back to it because they're so far left. They don't, anything that they say that's going to go against, or they have an issue with, putting ahead certain groups or certain types of people, it's going to be a problem. And we're seeing that now, especially with AOC, who's like a hardcore progressive, who is trying to act like she's a centrist, or she's trying to have like this type of understanding, but she removed the bios out of her, the pronouns out of her bio. Like that's just not going to work with a lot of the Democrats or the people that vote Democratic now, though, because they're at that point where they've let these folks become unchained. See, this is what the Democrats did. They got everyone all wound up after Trump got elected in 2016. And then 2020 happens, and we all know what happened in 2020. I'm not talking about the virus, but everything that went on in 2020 was enough just to push them to get the election, those miraculous 20 million votes or 12 million votes that are unaccounted for. But they weaponized those groups. They weaponized those groups to go after anyone that had a disagreement. They weaponized them to tell them that, hey, if you don't agree with me, or we don't see eye to eye, we're going to shut the conversation down by saying you're some type of you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a sexist. That's how they silence the conversation. I wish I could find the video where they were having a discussion it was on CNN, and it was a white guy and it was a black guy, and I don't have to tell you which side who was on, because I should tell you. But one of the guys, he was saying, he was pretty much doing analysis on why the Democrats folded and why America voted the way it did. And as soon as he says something about trans, the other guy, it's anytime I see any straight men that they're like trying to champion a group of people that you do not directly identify with, I got questions. I'm gonna raise my eyebrow. If you can't have like just a reasonable conversation, and he just says one thing, you get triggered, and then everybody is like, oh, you got to be a little more sensitive about this issue. It's very delicate. Any other time, you're not. You will call Trump XYZ. You will say this about MAGA folks. You will say all these things about the right. But as soon as someone calls you guys out, as soon as someone says, hey, let's have a conversation, let's be diplomatic about this, they go another level. And this is a making of the Democratic Party. They wound these folks up. They use them as attack dogs. And now they have to get in bed with these folks. And a lot of these folks, I'll be shocked to see if the Democrats win in this next election cycle coming up. I don't think they're going to win in 2028, because they still have this problem, this identity problem. They're still pushing DEI and identity politics, but I don't think it's going to be taken care of by 2028 or the following election, they're going to have to, go a cycle losing again.
So you mentioned AOC. I forgot to mention this too. So she actually went on Joy Reid. I think it was this morning.
Oh, I got to catch that.
She made the comment that they elected her, right? But Trump won her district.
Oh yeah, because she did a survey or something. I saw what led up to that interview.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. She was talking with Joy about the results. She wanted to have a conversation with the people in her district that voted for Trump to see what went wrong. But it was all word salad when she was talking to Joy Reid. It was just talking points. It was like they voted for Trump because they're tired of the establishment. Like they're just tired of the corruption. And then like all of that is true, but I could tell that she didn't really have any genuine conversations about why people left. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, since I walked into my real masculinity and what I'm really supposed to be as a man, I've realized that fear tactics don't work on me because I'm going to be okay no matter who's in office. Like we got guns in this house. I'm doing well enough where I can provide for my family. My wife has more options than the average woman does in terms of her work schedule. My daughter is straight. Like there's nothing that either one of these parties, I'm not dependent on them to save me because I know I have to save myself. Mm-hmm. So your fear mongering and your scare tactics don't work. Well, if you get Trump back in office, it's going to be open for all the police to kill you. Look, when have black people not had tension with the police in this country? It's going to happen regardless. So you're not going to scare me into voting for you. You need to come at me with something that's really going to help me understand how are you going to benefit my life on a daily basis? And more than likely, you can. You can do things that help me little bits and pieces here and there. But at the end of the day, it's on me. No party is coming to save me. But at least with Trump, look, Trump has already come out guns a-blazing on Title IX and transgenders in sports and protecting little girls and protecting women in a way that they're not going to be prepared for. Like, I think a lot of women are going to start to see some benefits from all of this stuff. They just don't see it yet.
Yeah, or they won't say it. They'll see the benefit, but they definitely won't say it. So I think for a lot of
well, let me ask you this, TR, because I had a question for you. You said the Dems are cooked, and I think they can fix it at some point, but you think the damage is just you don't think there's a chance they can come after this anytime soon?
No. And we're seeing this happen in the media. Morning Joe and his wife, or Morning Scarborough, or whatever it's called. I think it's called Morning Joe, but it's Joe Scarborough's show. His and his wife's show. But anyways, they actually came out and tried to bend the knee and go to Mar-a-Lago to have a conversation with Trump, like try to find common ground. They spent like the last 4 years calling Trump, Hitler, and then saying all this Yahtzee stuff. They said everything. They defended Joe Biden. They went after after they did the exit polls. They went after, I think it might have been Joe talking about, with Al Sharpton, talking about black men, misogyny, why they didn't vote for her, for whatever, vote for Kamala. No, that's not, we don't, I'm not even a Democrat or a liberal. I'm not going to forget that. I am definitely going to have receipts ready to go. But they cooked him. They cooked that show, and they realized, like, okay, we're gonna have to, like, right the ship though, because all of those leftist shows and leftist TV shows, they're losing ratings. They're hemorrhaging ratings, actually. And we talked about it in the last episode. So they're hemorrhaging ratings. And so they know that you can't just gaslight your crowd and say, like, Trump this, Trump that. And then you go and try to, like, have a conversation with them. Nah, man. Nope. You gotta bend the knee, and you gotta also say, like, hey, did you see the light? I don't want to hear this. You're doing it for journalism purposes. I don't want to hear that, it's like the bigger person do. I need you to apologize to the American people, because people are willing to. I would listen to CNN if they weren't slanted one way. I would listen to MSDNC, which is MSNBC, if they weren't slanted, but they're slanted. You can't listen to those folks. And I listen to Fox News every now and then. I know Fox is a little slanted as well too, but MSN and CNN, they go over the top. At least Fox tries to have like a balanced conversation. They had the FEMA chick on there who got fired because of the whole FEMA disaster of skipping over Trump homes, but all the rest of them, no, they can't come back from it because the people that they were pandering to, and like just essentially like just telling you that Trump's going to like destroy the world. Those people aren't going to forget those emotions, those feelings that a lot of them are unhinged. They're not going to forget any of that stuff, and we're going to always go back to, hey, when Trump won the election, what was the sentiment with the other side? Like, how are they feeling? You got a whole host of videos of people just crashing out, crying, shaving their heads. You got some people. Dude, I saw a study that I saw a stat that divorce lawyers are getting like an increase in phone calls because women are divorcing their husbands because of this whole voting thing. I'm like, you may not like the guy, but you're gonna break up your family because of it, man.
Dude, these family courts and these divorce attorneys and these judges, it's a racket, man. They just extraordinary racketeering together. But since we're heavy on the politics tonight, let me point something out to you real quick. It's a small pivot. Let's talk about the Department of Government Efficiency real quick, because they haven't even been at it very long. But I want to call out some of the things that they've already identified in 2023 that the United States federal government has been spending money on. You ready for this one?
Go ahead.
This is courtesy of Jim Blanford, Republican from Oklahoma, in partnership with the Doge.
You got a screen share?
This is actually just my notes, but I can share the article though. I just took notes because the article was really, really long, so I just summarized it and took notes.
That's good.
They spent $30,000 to study the secret language of butchers in Paris.
Whoa! Butchers like in Paris?
Yep, slice the meat, butchers. Yep. Okay. $350K to develop AI smart toilets. $660K to study COVID and how it impacted women in Russia.
Okay, hold on, real quick. If Japan did this, the AI toilet, I think people would like it, but I get your point. Okay.
$750,000 for the New York Metropolitan Opera fire alarm. This is the federal government.
I mean, is that a top tier place or something? Because you got to have working fire alarms.
$750,000 to fund a transgender study in Venezuela.
Ooh.
$100,000 to see if sunfish are more aggressive with either gin or tequila. I'm not making any of this up, by the way. $100K to see if the Japanese quail are more sexually promiscuous if you give them cocaine.
Wow.
$2 million. I got four more. $2 million for the construction of kelp and shellfish nurseries in Maine.
Jeez.
There's some value there if you think about what kelp and shellfish do to the ocean, but $2 million, man. Okay, three more. $200K to make monkeys transgender so we can study how HIV impacts trans women.
Wow. I almost feel like that's straight up racist and then also bigot. Like, I don't know why would you connect those two? I feel like a lot of people from that community should be upset that they're testing it on primates to figure out HIV and all that stuff. And I'm making that connection because that's what they're talking about. So
and here are the last two. $1 million to study if selfies make you happier. A clinical study. And last but not least, Mr. Vivek Ramaswamy announced that the Pentagon has failed 7 consecutive financial audits, mostly because there was $1 trillion that was unaccounted for.
Yeah, see, that's terrible. And you would think people would want to know if the Pentagon is, I mean, we're expected, especially during tax season, we're expected to give the right numbers and everything, or at least, get our taxes in at the right time or done properly. But the Pentagon, I mean.
Oh, that's the other thing. 56% of IRS employees are behind on their taxes in delinquent on their taxes.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention that too.
Sorry. That's really bad. Yeah, the Doge, and it's not really a department. I just found this out. It's it's just an advisory group, but it's still a good thing.
With an expiring contract, they're only contracted till the end of 2026.
Yeah, and so for a lot of people, they should definitely welcome that, because I heard someone say, this is going to put a lot of people out of their jobs, and they said specifically Black people. Again, we got to go back to the race and color and all that jazz, but you should not want people in a position where they're just wasting taxpayer funds. Where we do that at? Like, when has that ever been appropriate? When is that like? If you had somebody on the city council just wasting, like, think of this: if you had a mayor wasting taxpayer dollars on frivolous things, like, I don't know, I'm just gonna just throw a city out there, like Dalton, Illinois, like maybe Tiffany Henry. Like, if you had someone like that just wasting taxpayer funds, and they can't even pay their the normal city utilities and services, you would lose your mind. They will all lose their mind. So I don't even understand why people. You should have an audit. And you should also have an audit in the sense that it should be pretty transparent. And then also you should be like, look, I'm gonna whack, like, what people love to do is wag the finger. Like, we want to see, make sure your books are good, and also you're not, pissing away our taxpayer funds on silly stuff like the whole sunfish. And I mean, that's just ridiculous. And that just goes to like the type of racket that's been occurring in the government that needs to be trimmed out. And people, this is going to be a great thing, because we need to have an efficient government. The government is a company, it's a business, so it needs to be efficient, because any other company, you're getting fired or laid off or bankruptcy.
Here's what trips me up when I look at all of this, right? You could theoretically have a job where you're getting paid to give gin and tequila to sunfish, you're giving cocaine to monkeys and studying Russian women. None of this is benefits to the United States in any way that I could think of. But if you do this long enough, you just worked yourself into a government pension for the rest of your life.
Hey, good point.
Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, and there are people who are still mad that the lady who fundraised $1 billion, but yet is still $20 million in debt from her campaign, was going to fix all of this stuff.
Yeah.
What are we doing right now?
Yeah, when you try to have this conversation out loud with folks, they just ignore it. And maybe to Andrew Schultz's point, when he says people are being pretentious, that's a great example, because they act like it's not a big deal. And so all of a sudden, people are not worried about how someone, and to Kamala's, and this is probably the only credit I'm going to give her, she did raise $1 billion. Some of it came from Joe Biden, but a lot of that money was penciled in from Joe Biden, and then people were holding back funds and donations and everything. But I mean, she raised in a short amount of time, and you still ended up in debt. That's just
so can we assume that most of that money, based on how people voted, came from Black people? Is it a safe assumption to say that most of that money, or at least a large portion of it, came from Black people?
I mean, I would at least say maybe a fourth. Just because you got all the other groups, you got the you got a white, you got the whoish.
Okay, so 250 million. Let's just go with your number. Came from Black people. Tell me that that's not enough if we were truly practicing group economics to develop our own economies and our own businesses and pull people out of debt.
Yeah. Well, it's a start for something in a small area, and then grow it from there. But
and mind you, this was all in a 90-day window.
Yeah.
So I keep saying, don't sit here. One of the biggest lies they told us is Black people are broke. We're not broke. We just don't save and invest like we should. There's been studies that have been done that says the Black dollar leaves the Black community way faster than it does any other community.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say, and this is my conservative side coming out again, we have what it takes to turn our own lives around. If we get reparations, fine. But if we don't, we already have what we need to turn this around.
Yeah. And the whole thing, part of the biggest reason why I don't think reparations, I'm on the belief that reparations can't happen. I don't think it'll ever happen, though, because if you didn't force the Democrats to do it when you had the power, then they're never going to do it, because like I said earlier, Democrat vote, the Black vote has slipped between third and fourth. So you really don't have enough to really move things to take you over to the top. So it'd be great, but I mean, the government is a great example of just inefficient money management and how the Black community works, though, because yeah, we have tons of millionaires and billionaires in the Black community, but even if like all the billionaires, like say Oprah wanted to come together and say, "Hey, I'm gonna create a Wakanda. I got the money to do it." People ain't gonna get on board with Oprah. They just won't.
No, there's a lot of young Black men that think that Oprah has a hatred for Black men.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I'm starting to see it myself.
Yeah. People are just not gonna get on board, and she got paid out by Kamala's campaign as well too. So
But she said they didn't pay her, TR. They paid her company.
oh yeah, isn't it called Harpo, which is Oprah backwards, I guess? But so yeah, I don't know. So it's a very interesting turn of events, but hopefully we see some great things come out of Doge. Like you said, they are set for a sunset, so they got a lot of work to do. And I don't want to hear any excuses. Because before, I think you had said something about you don't hear excuses, and I was like, well, I know I get that too, but I'm at that point like, yeah, I don't hear excuses. Get it done.
Yep.
Get it done. So
fix it. Just fix it.
Yep. So, all right, everyone, that's all we got for you. Definitely, tune in to some of the other stuff that we got going on, some of the other videos that we have posted, as well as, MC reminded me of this, but I have not been posting our socials as frequently as I should have. So we are on all the socials, and I'll get that